too.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome back. Coming to you from inside my house today. It is a little windy outside. There are gusts of wind, which by gust I mean the wind blows hard, all of it really quickly. And because of that, I think it'll be too much noise in the microphone and will be a little distracting. So I'm coming to you from my house. Which means that my children have a little more access to me. This is Franklin. Can you say hi, Franklin?
Hi.
How old are you, Franklin?
Great.
You're great. What's your favorite color?
Yellow.
Yellow. Frank will be joining me for the time being. We'll see how that goes. You may also hear my other children in the background. Hope it doesn't become too big of a distraction. If it does, we'll figure something out. But glad you're here, and we're going to continue our lessons in Unit 9. So in Unit 9, we've been practicing with cause and effect sentences. And in our last lesson, we were talking about unreal conditionals with using if, and we didn't use then, but it's like an if-then sentence. And so we're talking about unreal conditionals, and those are like cause and effect. Those are cause and effect sentences. They're cause and effect sentences that happen imaginary cause and effect sentences, right? If this action happens, this cause happens, this imaginary cause happens, then this will be the effect, or this could be the effect, right? So we've already been talking about cause and effect. Maybe you realized it, maybe you didn't. And today we're going to continue talking about cause and effect and how to combine cause and effect into one sentence using since or though. And so to help us get started, I have a couple questions. Frank?
What?
I need to write on the board. Where do you want to be?
On the bed.
On the bed? I don't know if I can put you on the bed. But how about I put you on right here for the moment?
Okay.
Well, can't really see your head, but that's okay.
Okay.
Nope, there you are. So we're going to start with our first question, and that is, what do you do to learn English? I'm going to hold it up here so we can see.
Let me see.
What do you do to learn English? That's our first question. And since I can't get answers from you, I will give a couple answers. 3 actually. What do? You watch videos on YouTube. You listen to the radio, and you talk to your children in English, hopefully. So, here are 3 things that you do to help you learn English. You watch videos on YouTube, listen to the radio, and you talk to your children in English. Right, Frank?
Right.
Right. And we're going to call these causes. Okay? And
Okay.
to think about it, maybe it's the action in our previous example, our previous lesson. It's the same thing as the lesson, action. And then our second question is, how does this help you learn English?
Sure. Not that. Go into the radio.
You're going into the middle frame? Okay, good. How does this help you learn English? And since you can't answer me again, I'm going to give you three more ways that I think how this helps you. The first is you learn new English lessons. You become better at understanding English. I'm going to say spoken English. And you become better at speaking English.
What? There's class. There's a class there, Dad.
A cross?
Yes.
Do you know what letter that cross is?
What?
A T.
A T.
Yes. So let me bring this a little better. So how does this help you learn English? You learn new English lessons. You become better at understanding spoken English. And you become better at speaking English. That's right, Frank. There's lots of T's. We're going to also get a lesson in our letters. So if this, the what question is the cause, these are going to be the effects. So now we have causes and effects. Now how are we going to put those two together? Well, glad you asked. I've taken two clauses from our list, watch videos on YouTube and learn new English lessons. I added a verb and a subject, I am watching and I am learning. And so, how do we put, and the blue, if you remember, comes from our cause, and the orange comes from our effects list. So how do we put these two clauses together so that they make sense? So, if I want to emphasize maybe the cause, I can combine the two clauses by saying since I am watching videos on YouTube, comma, I am learning new English lessons. So I use since in front of the cause, highlighting the cause. Since I am watching videos on YouTube, I am learning new English lessons. If, however, I wanted to maybe not highlight the cause and I wanted more emphasis on the effect, we can put a marker right. I am watching videos on YouTube, so I I am learning new lessons. Or so I can, maybe we can adjust our verb a little bit. To say I can learn new English lessons. Here, now, when I put the so in front of my effect clause, so to highlight the effect and to join the cause and the effect sentences together. So I am watching videos on YouTube. That's my cause. And what is the effect? So I can learn new English lessons. So here's an example of how we put the two sentences together. Before we do another one, just want to highlight something we just talked about. We use since with our cause clause. And we use so with our, lost my black marker. Here it is. Make sure I keep it out of the glare. And we use so with our effect clause. And depending on your writing style and what you're wanting to say, you can use either since or so. Put the sentences together that way. With either or, not both, you must choose. Either use since or so to make your sentence. But it's just two different ways of joining cause and effects sentences. So let's look at another example. Since we saw an example of how we do it, now that you know what you're doing, let's put these together. Okay, so let's take our second cause, listen to the radio, and we're going to add the subject I am. Since I am listening to the radio, I made it a present continuous verb. And let's take my next effect. I am becoming better at understanding spoken English. Okay. I want to put my joining word on my on my cause. So do you remember what word we're going to use? Yes, that's right. We're going to use since. Since I am listening to the radio, comma, I am becoming a better listener, or I'm becoming I'm becoming better at understanding spoken English. Can't read my words backwards. It's a skill, I promise. But maybe I don't want to use the word since, but I want to change the connection, and I want to connect it. I want to emphasize maybe the effect. Here, we're going to put in front of the effect, so. I am listening to the radio, so we're going to change the verb slightly. So I can become so I can become better at understanding spoken English. Okay, so you see we have, if there's two ways of joining cause and effect sentences. We can put since in front of the cause, or we could put so in front of the effect and combine the two sentences. Both are correct. The only way that's not correct is to use both in the same sentence. You must choose one or the other. And depending on what you've used in previous, that might help you decide which one you're going to choose. All right, let's do our last example. Here, I'm going to do something a little different. Oh, no. I'm going to keep it the same. I am talking to my children in English. It's the wrong color. I am becoming better at speaking English. If I want to put the joining word in front of the cause, I'm going to use, again, right, because it's in blue, you know it's the cause. Since I am talking to my children in English, comma, I am becoming better at speaking English. However, if I want to join the two clauses in front of the effect, I'm talking to my children in English, so I can become better at speaking English. So it just depends on what you're trying to say and what you're trying to do. So far, I've given you the cause and the effect, but in the future, you will have to decide which is the cause and which is the effect. So let's look at a sentence where we have to do that. I've written two sentences on the board. The earth is getting warmer, the polar ice caps are melting. So in this exercise, we're going to use since. And we have to decide, because we are using since, we need to decide which is our cause and which is our effect. So let's look at these again. The earth is getting warmer, polar ice caps are melting. Which do you think is the cause and which do you think is the effect? Well, let's think about ice. Why does ice melt? Things get warm, right? If you take ice out of your freezer, put it on the counter, it starts to get warm, it melts. So, most likely, our cause is the first sentence. the Earth is getting warmer. So we're going to say since the Earth is getting warmer, comma, and our effect, the result of the Earth getting warmer, the polar ice caps are melting. So since the Earth is getting warmer, the polar ice caps are melting. So cause, since the Earth is getting warmer, effect, the polar ice caps are melting. Here is a neat trick, however. You can change the order in which you write these two clauses. So you can actually say, with since, the polar ice caps are melting, since the Earth is getting warmer. Both are correct ways of writing this sentence. You can either say the Earth, since the Earth is getting warmer, the polar ice caps are melting, or you can say the polar ice caps are melting since the Earth is getting warmer. Both are correct. You will notice when the cause clause or the cause sentence comes first, we put a comma. But when it comes second, no comma. I'll let you see that, think about that. Okay? Let's look at a different sentence. Actually, we're going to use the first sentence again, but this time we are going to use a connector. We're going to use so as a connector to our effect. And so this time, still the same cause, right? The Earth is getting warmer, so the polar ice caps are melting. The order of the sentence is the same, but this time we did not use since to highlight the cause, but now we're highlighting the effect. So we use so. The Earth is getting warmer, so the polar ice caps are melting. And we use so in the front of the effect. I have a different sentence. Going to erase this part. We're going to have the same cause, but a different effect. Okay. Similar but different. The seawater is getting warmer. The Earth is getting warmer. The seawater is getting warmer. Here, again, we're going to use so to connect to our effect. So we're going to start with our cause. The earth is getting warmer, comma, so the seawater is getting warmer. Again, we already knew what our cause was. The earth is getting warmer. What is the effect? Seawater is getting warmer. If one's getting warmer, the other's going to get warmer, right? So we join with, for highlighting the effect, we're going to use so. So the seawater is getting warmer. Okay? If you think back to this example and the one just before where we talked about the earth is getting warmer, so the polar ice caps are getting warmer, you'll notice that in this case, the cause came before the effect in both examples. When we are using so, we're always going to have the cause first and the effect second. Okay? Let me repeat that. When we are using so, the cause will always go first, and the effect will go second. With both clauses, however, you can use either since or so. And to prove that, to show you that, these two examples, the last three examples I've given you have come from the book, but this one is not in the book. But I could say if I wanted to use since instead of so, I could say the since the earth is getting warmer, comma, the seawater is getting warmer. Period. I'm saying the same thing. I'm just saying it two different ways, emphasizing two different things. Here, emphasizing the effect. Here, emphasizing the cause. Okay, now I want to look at one thing in our book, and then we will talk about our exercises. I wanted to show you one thing about that maybe will help you understand since and so better. Well, let's read the useful language box first, and then we'll talk about it. Because can replace since, and therefore can replace so. If you do that, use a semicolon before therefore and a comma after it. For example, the earth is getting warmer, therefore the polar ice caps are melting. Okay, so another way to think about since, it's like saying because something happens, or since something happens, right? Same idea. Maybe that's a more helpful way of thinking about it. And then for therefore, so you can replace it with therefore. Therefore and so are the same. So, or therefore, it's your choice for this coming up exercise. However, I want you to use so or since. Or actually, they give you the choice, but we'll get to that in a second. Just as a quick review, we use since in front of the cause. An easy way to remember that is since and because are the same. And we use so before the effect, or because and so and therefore are the same. So that makes it a little easier to remember. Since and because. Because means why, right? So if since equals because, that's going to go in front of the why something happens, and so in front of the why. And so and therefore are the same, and that is equal to the effect, the result. Just as one more way of saying it, and a different way of saying it, hopefully a little easier way of saying it. Because and since always goes in front of the cause, and therefore and so always goes in front of the effect. And one last reminder, you will not use both so and since in the same sentence. You will only choose one to use in the sentence. Okay, let's look at our practice. It says you're going to combine the sentences and use the connectors in the parentheses. So our first example is there is a buildup of harmful gases in the atmosphere. Global warming is increasing. Okay, which is our cause and which is our effect? What makes the other thing happen? There is a buildup of harmful gases in the atmosphere. Global warming is increasing. Well, let's ask questions of our two causes. Well, why is global warming increasing? Does the first sentence answer that? There is a buildup of harmful gases in the atmosphere. That makes sense to me. Can we also say why is there a buildup of harmful gases in the atmosphere? Because global warming is increasing? That doesn't really seem to make sense. That doesn't really answer the question, right? And the word that we're using to join the two sentences is since. So we're going to put since in front of our cause. And our cause is, I think we've agreed upon now, because why is global warming increasing? Because there is a buildup of harmful gases in the atmosphere. So we're going to put since in front of therefore. So let's see if I can, nope, it's not happening. Just going to try to mark it, but I can't do that. So what that looks like is since there's a buildup of harmful gases in the atmosphere, comma, global warming is increasing. Okay, let's look at our second example. Warm water is expanding in the oceans. The sea level is rising. Okay, let's ask since is the same as because, let's ask the question why. That's why I did it in the first example. Because we're looking for cause and effect. If we can identify the cause by asking why of those clauses, we will be able to answer this a little easier. Warm water is expanding in the oceans. The sea level is rising. Let's ask, why is the sea level rising? Because water is expanding in the oceans. Why is warm water expanding in the oceans? Because the sea level is rising. That doesn't really answer the question, right? So the cause is the water is expanding in the oceans, and the effect is that the sea level is rising. And here we're going to join the two sentences by using so. Warm water is expanding in the oceans, so the sea level is rising. And let's see how they did it. Right, good. Warm water is expanding in the oceans, so the sea level is rising. So we put so in front of the effect, right? Warm water is expanding in the oceans, so the effect of that is that sea level is rising. Okay, I want you to do 3 through 7. And when you do that, I think a good way to, what you first need to do is decide what is my cause and what is my effect. And a good way that we just discovered of doing that is ask why of both clauses and see which one answers the why. So not both of them won't answer the why, be the reason or the cause of the other, as we have seen in our first two examples. And then once you've identified which is the cause and which one is the effect, I then want you to use the word they give you to join the two words, the two sentences. So for question number three, after you identify the cause and the effect sentences, they want you to join those two sentences by using the word since. If you remember, since goes in front of the cause sentence, right? So I want you to pause the video now, and well, after I give the instructions, pause the video, and I want you to practice 3 through 7. And once you've done that, I want you to come back and listen to the answers, and then we will be finished for today. So go ahead and pause now, and when we come back, I will be playing the answers for you to check your answers, and we'll finish up, and we will talk to you again soon. So pause now and come back and check your answers in just a moment.
114. Exercise 2A. 1. Since there is a buildup of harmful gases in the atmosphere, global warming is increasing. 2.
Warm water is expanding in the oceans, so the sea level is rising.
3. Since the sea level is rising, towns near oceans are in danger of flooding. 4.
Because global warming changes weather patterns, many places will have less rainfall.
5. The mosquito population will increase, so there will be an increase in diseases like malaria. 6.
Since the ocean water is getting warmer, typhoons and hurricanes are becoming more frequent.
7. Cities are growing. Therefore, many plants and animals may lose their natural habitats.
Okay, folks, that's it for today. When we come on the next video, we will go over our answers to this lesson together, and then we'll have another special guest, maybe the same special guest, come and help us with our discussion for the second half of Lesson C. So until then, stay safe, and hope you're well, and we'll talk soon. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.